Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. If you were to compress the entire history of Earth into a single 24-hour day, human beings wouldn't even show up until the very last few seconds. It's crazy to think about, right? Today, we're going to unpack that ultimate origin story. We're tracing how a violent, totally barren rock floating out in space transformed into the incredibly diverse, vibrant home of humanity that we know today. So get ready, because we are about to shrink billions of years of cosmic and biological history into one incredibly fascinating journey.
So right out of the gate, we've got to face the ultimate mystery here. How did life actually begin on Earth? How does a chaotic, random mix of non-living chemicals somehow spark into a living, breathing, reproducing entity? This single question is the absolute core of our analysis today. It's this giant puzzle that has captivated scientists, philosophers, and basically anyone who's ever looked up at the stars. And really, it sets the stage for absolutely every single thing that followed, including you and me sitting here today.
To make sense of this massive timeline, we've structured our explainer into 5 main parts: the birth of the Earth, the first life in water, the leap from a single cell to a human, the story of early humans, and finally, human rule over the world.
All right, part 1, the birth of the Earth.
Now, wrapping our heads around the sheer, incomprehensible scale of deep time is absolutely crucial here. Billions of years ago, Earth wasn't this beautiful blue marble we're used to. It was a completely hostile, molten wasteland constantly getting bombarded by meteorites. For billions of years, it was just biologically silent. Nothing. But eventually, as the Earth cooled down, water vapor condensed, and centuries of relentless rain formed the very first vast oceans. This set up the precise chemical and thermal stage for life. It's just a humbling reminder of exactly how patient the universe had to be.
Moving right along to part 2, first life in water.
Deep down in those primordial oceans, most likely around hydrothermal vents where intense heat and chemicals were just violently mixing together, the first single-celled organisms emerged. Scientists call this LUCA, the last universal common ancestor. Think about that for a second. When you trace your family tree back past your grandparents, past early humans, way past the dinosaurs, your ultimate ancestor is this tiny microscopic survivor just floating around in a toxic ancient sea. Everything we are today comes from that exact miraculous aquatic spark.
That brings us to part 3, single cell to human.
This leap really illustrates the sheer transformative power of evolution over eons. We started with a primitive, barren world of, just silence and rock. But through literally endless biological trial and error, which was heavily accelerated by massive evolutionary events like the Cambrian explosion, that empty canvas became a vibrant, thriving network of complex ecosystems. It's like evolution acts as this ultimate artist, taking the absolute simplest beginnings and over hundreds of millions of years, painting the most complex biological network imaginable.
Now, crossing that evolutionary bridge required some monumental adaptations. To go from complex water-based life, organisms made one of the bravest leaps in planetary history. They moved to land. They literally had to swap gills for lungs and fins for limbs just to survive that harsh new terrestrial environment. Then, millions of years later, right in the wake of the dinosaur extinction, warm-blooded mammals rose up to conquer the changing climate. And those mammalian branches eventually led into the precise, gradual evolution of early humans. Every single profound step was built directly upon the genetic successes of the last one.
Okay, part 4, the story of early humans. Early humans represent a total paradigm shift in the biological timeline. Before this era, survival on land was pretty much purely dictated by physical traits, right? You had to be faster, stronger, or have sharper teeth. But early humans completely changed the game. They transitioned from raw basic survival to utilizing tools, mastering fire, and developing primitive intelligence. They basically compensated for a lack of lion's claws or a rhinoceros's thick skin by using a rapidly developing brain. They laid down the cognitive and biological groundwork for literally everything that you and I do today.
And finally, part 5, human rule over the world.
Pulling from frameworks explored by thinkers like Yuval Noah Harari, it becomes super clear that Homo sapiens didn't conquer the globe by being the biggest, strongest ape. Nope, we did it through cognitive revolutions. We actually learned to imagine things that didn't physically exist in the natural world at all. Things like laws, nations, and money. And that shared imagination allowed for complex social cooperation in massive numbers. 1,000 humans can cooperate flexibly toward a common goal. And that is a superpower that led directly to forming vast civilizations, advancing our technology, and ultimately mastering the 21st century.
Our true superpower was never physical. It was deeply social and intellectual. Honestly, it is just absolutely staggering to realize that the exact same biological lineage that started as a blind, floating cell in a dark ocean has evolved into a species seeking a brief history of time and searching the multiverse. Championed by curious minds like Stephen Hawking, we have gone from basic survival to questioning the very nature of existence and reality. We have quite literally become the universe's way of understanding itself.
So, that basically wraps up our explainer for today, but I want to leave you with one final, pretty provocative thought to chew on. What exactly is humanity's next step? We've gone from water to land, from primitive stone tools to artificial intelligence and space travel. So, are we destined to just continue evolving biologically? Or will our next massive evolutionary leap be entirely technological? It's a pretty fascinating question to ponder. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey through time and evolution. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you on the next one.